Breaking news. Putin's latest nuclear threat requires a retaliatory response from NATO. Russia seems set to hold a nuclear weapons parade in Belarus as Western allies congregate nearby in Lithuania. There needs to be repercussions. You can't get any more careless or provocative than this. In July, as the 31 NATO allies gather in nearby Lithuania for their annual shindig, Russian President Vladimir Putin stations nuclear weapons in his neighboring vassal state of Belarus. This latest threat to use nuclear weapons follows his attack on Ukraine last year. NATO must respond to this escalation. It's not a matter of if, but how, you'll respond. Vladimir Putin's timing reveals all. In March, he made public his plans to supply Belarus with Russian nuclear weapons. Earlier this month, he assured his pet dictator in Minsk, Alexander Lukashenko, that everything would be ready by July 8. He said the first one arrived this week. On July 11 to 12, NATO leaders will convene in Vilnius for a summit. A line from George Orwell's now famous science fiction novel, 1984, "Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past," is still often cited, and it is especially relevant today given the use of disinformation campaigns by state actors, most notably Russia. In an effort to reframe the conflict in Ukraine in Russia's favor, Moscow has ramped up its disinformation campaign. On Tuesday, the French government announced that it had uncovered a broad campaign to undermine Western support for Ukraine. To further illustrate the hybrid strategy Russia is implementing to undermine the conditions for democratic debate, Russian embassies and cultural centers actively participated in amplifying this campaign, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna told reporters. She also said that French authorities are cooperating closely with their allies in order to counter Russia's hybrid warfare. Paris has been sounding the alarm for a while now, saying that Moscow is conducting a disinformation campaign in Francophone Africa, especially in the areas where the Russian mercenary Wagner Group has been active. In addition, Colonna stated that, this campaign is based on the creation of fake web pages impersonating national media and government sites, and the creation of false accounts on social networks. At least 4 French dailies were likely targeted in the operation, including Le Parisien, Le Figaro, Le Monde, and 20 Minutes. Besides the Faz and Der Spiegel and Bild, other major publications were attacked as well. Before there was such a thing as fake news, the Soviets were at it. As part of its active measures, during the Cold War, the Soviet Union used propaganda and disinformation against the populations of Western nations. Boris Yeltsin, Russia's first president after the fall of the Soviet Union, tried to curb the spread of fake news, but the practice has since made a comeback, even more virulent than before. Russia's military doctrine now prominently features the use of disinformation as a tactic. This is hardly a secret and has earned the label, firehose of falsehoods, in the West. The ability of social media to spread misinformation and disinformation is making it much more effective. NATO and the European Union have dedicated units whose sole purpose is to investigate and debunk Moscow's disinformation campaigns.